Hey guys, let's see how much makeup it'll take for me to be confident today. I want to try to explain to you what it's like to have ADHD and autism. It's basically like your brain hates you. They contradict each other a lot. Like you're always being pulled in different directions. It's really hard finding a middle ground where your autism and ADHD are comfortable because they're such polar opposites. So basically I can't function and I'm in a constant battle with my own brain. Like my memory is amazing, but my ADHD inhibits that whenever it wants. Like I'll forget to eat, but can remember every single credit card number I've ever used. I'm impulsive and hate routines, but then I get depressed and can't function if I don't have a routine. I can't stay still or focus on anything, but then I'll hyper-focus on something completely irrelevant for 15 hours. It's also hard to tell if my special interest is gonna be ADHD or autism driven, meaning will I have it for the next week or for a decade? And now there are studies that show that people with autism and ADHD might not respond well to ADHD medication. I don't even respond to stimulants, I just get all the silly little side effects. There are some good things though. I'm assuming, I wouldn't know. I am really creative. Like, thinking outside the box is so easy for me. Mostly because I don't even know where the box is. Okay guys, I'm all done. I feel really pretty actually, so I'll see you guys later.
Neurodivergent people need neurodivergent friend groups, and not for the reason that you think it is. I think a lot of us have been conditioned to think that we're bad at socializing when that's not necessarily the case. I think neurotypical social norms are debilitating to us and cause us to mask and perform care. So many of us naturally discover our individual journeys of unmasking ourselves, and I think that that's beautiful, but it's only part of the solution. I think we also will find a lot of benefit and thrive in neurodivergent friend groups where we're working together to unmask the friend group as an organization, where we're working to deconstruct these social norms, question them, throw out the ones that don't work for us, and create new ones of our own. This isn't just theory, I'm speaking from experience, so I'll give you a few examples of social norms of my friend group. The big thing is we are allowed to say or even just perform a no without anyone taking it personally. If you tried out the game at game night and you don't like it, you get to just like put your cards down and you don't have to announce it, you don't need to ask anybody's permission. That literally happened a couple weeks ago. One of my friends shows up, she wears noise canceling headphones, she sits on the couch, cuddles up with one of the dogs, and she will say something when she's ready, and when she wants to be quiet, she gets to be quiet. Nobody thinks that's weird. Personally, I'm not very good at initiating contact or initiating plans, but I'm really good at responding to contact and showing up for plans. I've received 0 complaints. Another really cool thing is that we're able to sort of deconstruct what quality time looks like. So sure, we're able to do game nights and have social nights that are for socializing, and that's it. Let's say somebody's having a hard time managing their own day-to-day stuff, but they still want to see us. It would not be unusual or weird or strange in our friend group for that friend to hit a few of us up and say, hey, I want to hang out with you guys, but I'm doing some projects around the house and I have some cleaning to do. You guys are welcome to come over. And then if you want to bring your own stuff, and then we could at least like get some time in this week. That's a fucking party. Like some of us will show up and pitch in and help out, and others of us will literally just bring our own stuff to do. And so now we have body doubling and parallel play in an adult neurodivergent friend group, which to be clear is a brilliant fucking time. Like everyone feels at home in that. So I think this whole stigma around neurodivergent people being bad at socializing is just that. It's a stigma based on patriarchal neurotypical shit that's not actually true. And I think a lot of us might find that we will thrive in social settings if the norms of that setting fit us. So don't just unmask yourself. Find some neurodivergent friends and unmask the friend group.
Okay, this is a really quick stream of consciousness that I don't know if anyone else can relate to, but I have ADHD. I'm pretty sure I'm on the spectrum. My friend Isabella, who I love, she supports everything that I post, just left. And all I could think to myself was how different my conversations are with her than pretty much anybody else I know. And to me, I don't think I mask that often. Like everybody pretty much knows what they get with me. But with Isabella, her being neurodivergent too, it never occurs to me how many more thoughts I allow myself to think at the same time when I'm having a conversation with her. Like we were just having our regular conversation and I didn't realize that we were having 6 different conversations on different topics simultaneously. And every time in the middle of the first topic that she was talking about that I jumped to a second topic, I almost caught myself and was like, oh gosh, I'm being rude. And she's going to think I'm like not caring about the first thing. And then I realized this is like the one person I don't have to do that with because she completely just follows me to that conversation and we jump back to the original. Like with anybody else, I would try my hardest to stay on the original topic so that they don't feel offended or like I don't care what they're talking about. And The only other thought that I inject when I'm talking to her is that, like, this is the one person who does not care and is not going to notice. And I never have to point that out. And, like, we're talking to each other, like, in tandem, over top of each other, talking over each other. And it's like, I never feel like she's not hearing me. Like, we're on the same page all the time. And that is, like, such a refreshing thing to have. And to constantly feel like you have to, like, close everything off to have conversations with people because of how you think that they're going to perceive you trying to connect with them in conversation. It's just nice to not have to deal with that exhaustion with somebody else that gets it.
One of the things that helps me distinguish neurodivergence from other mental health experiences is by looking at other things that are more commonly occurring in neurodivergent people, and if they are present, that increases the likelihood that there is neurodivergence. The first thing is hypermobility. So people who are neurodivergent, ADHD, autistic specifically, are significantly more likely to be hypermobile than the non-autistic, non-ADHD population. So this is people who have more bendy joints, and you can do a test online of this. Auditory processing issues. So it wouldn't really make so much sense that a trauma or mental health condition would be causing this. This can look like needing subtitles when you are watching things, being annoyed or irritated by a lot of people talking at once or not being able to process this, or needing to use noise cancellation a lot or listening to music a lot. Being very clumsy or having coordination issues. So dyspraxia is very common in neurodivergent people, and this relates to people's awareness of space. It can also be related to difficulties with figuring out left and right. That has to be very conscious every single time, and getting lost easily. High pain tolerance. I see this quite commonly in neurodivergent people where they struggle with discomfort, but actually noticing pain or being able to take a lot of pain is something that is a common experience. Getting very hot or very cold easily, or other issues with temperature regulation. This is very common in neurodivergent people and can be related to dysautonomia. It could also be an autoimmune condition. GI issues and IBS issues seem to be more common in neurodivergent people, and this doesn't always necessarily seem to go up and down with anxiety. It seems like more of a chronic sort of issue. Migraines, other pains, or other unexplained feelings of discomfort. This might signify unrecognized sensory issues, an autoimmune condition, or it could be signs of hypermobility EDS, which is more common in neurodivergent people. Differences in visual imagery, so either having hyperphantasia or very good ability to visualize, or aphantasia, so no ability to visualize. I see neurodivergent people have either one of these. Differences in learning, so dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia. If you have one of these, it's more likely that you are neurodivergent, but more likely that you're also autistic ADHD, because these things tend to occur together. And of course, a family history of neurodivergence, because we know that these things are passed on through families. It's important to remember with trauma that this affects development, particularly in the emotion regulation and executive functioning areas. So it can actually be useful to focus less on these functions and more on the things that do help distinguish between a neurodivergent body or the way the body forms, motor coordination, sensory processing, to really show that there is a neurodivergent profile going on.
ADHD is not an attention disorder, it's a blindness to the future. It is a myopia to the impending future events. You are nearsighted in time, which means that the child and adult with ADHD are going to wait until the future is imminent. ADHD creates a nearsightedness to time, so that the person with the disorder cannot organize to the delayed future, but only to the imminent future. And so everything in life becomes a crisis. But the crisis was avoidable, and no one has any patience with this, because they see this as a moral failing. You could have chosen to get ready, but you didn't. It is phrased as a form of laziness, this layabout, ne'er-do-well, carefree, careless attitude that you could change if you wanted to, right? But we know it as the executive failure it really is. This disorder precludes you from organizing across time. So you live in the moment, and you cannot organize very large, hierarchically sequenced behavior across time. It means that future-directed behavior is intentional behavior, which means ADD is actually IDD, intention deficit disorder. I don't seem to be able to accomplish most of the things I intended to do. You can call that a short attention span, but I think intention deficit disorder captures it much better. Now, the frontal lobes The executive system is where you take what you know and you apply it in your daily life. It is not where you know something, it is where you use what you know. The back part of the brain acquires knowledge. The front part of the brain puts it in play. ADHD has separated these two like a meat cleaver. So it really doesn't matter what you know. You can't use it as effectively as other people can. ADHD is a performance disorder. You can't perform the things you know how to do.
You're telling me all the professionals that I saw about ADHD didn't know this? BRB, gotta go scream, and I would like my money back.